Last year, when I made my first machine learning video, I mentioned that rookies weren't included in the projections because they hadn't accumulated any NFL stats as a basis for comparison against other players. I mentioned that it might be possible to do rookie predictions using only their college stats, but that wouldn't be quite as accurate as using NFL stats because it's highly dependent on what round those players get drafted in, what team they end up, what the situation is like, how much actual playing time they get. But recently, when I made my most recent video about a month ago, somebody asked me if I could include the incoming rookies who are college players this past season in the projections. So I figured out a way to do it, and I just wanted to go through that today and share some of the projections and give you an estimate of how accurate I think it's going to be. So the program, in order to build training data, it starts off on this page, the 2020 NFL scrimmage stats table from Pro Football Reference. It goes through and visits each of these players' page. So let's start with Derrick Henry. He's at the top of the list because he had the most scrimmage yards in 2020. So looking at Derrick Henry's career, you've got this career table for every season he's played, and the one we're really interested in is this rookie season right here, because this is how he performed directly out of college, so in the season immediately following his college career. So he had a certain number of yards from scrimmage, a certain number of receptions, a certain number of touchdowns, and that all equals a certain number of fantasy points his rookie season. And also on this page, the algorithm that's the program that's running this sees that there's a link to his college stats, and this is how Derrick Henry did in college. So he played 3 seasons at Alabama, and over these seasons he had a college career average that includes all 3 of these seasons, averaged over the number of games he played. And then he has, just like the other program, his last season, or what he did in his final season before he declared for the NFL draft. And just looking, I wanted to mention this program goes through all of these players who are running back, wide receiver, tight end, and does this for them. So I just wanted to point out some of the rookies that had, or the players that had the highest performing rookie seasons. So for all the players included, which is current active players in 2020, Saquon Barkley had the highest rookie season total. Ezekiel Elliott, Alvin Kamara, Kareem Hunt, Odell Beckham, Justin Jefferson just this past season. So guys are capable of putting up huge numbers of points right out of college, but there's also a lot more people who are getting further down the list. You can see there's guys who are in the hundreds, guys who are in the 90s, 60s, 40s, 30s, all the way down to not many points at all. See Darren Waller, who's now a really good tight end, he had 3.8 points his rookie season in terms of PPR points. All right, the first thing I want to show is the training data, which is basically the program is just going to go through the scrimmage stats table. It's going to visit each player page, and it's going to visit their college stats page, and it's going to take down the necessary information in order to build training data. And that includes, their rookie season and what they did in college before that, because all we have to make projections off of for rookies is what they did in college, because they don't have any NFL stats yet. So starting the program, goes through each of the players in the table, shows you Derrick Henry went to Alabama, Jonathan Taylor went to Wisconsin. So it's going through all the players, looking at their, let me expand this a little bit, looking at their college stats, recording how they did in college, calculating the averages, and also taking a look at just their rookie season, how they ended up doing immediately following their college season. And it's going to go through here, visit just about every player who's in that yards from scrimmage table. So I'll let this run for a little bit, and then we can take a look at the training data. All right, so taking a look at the training data, the program already went through and got all of the players from the yards from scrimmage table who are wide receiver, running back, and tight end. This is the actual number of points that they scored in their rookie season. So you can see Kamara had a pretty good season, was over 300 points. Justin Jefferson was 270. He just did this in his past 2020 season. The reason these 2020 rookies can be included is because they've already had one rookie season, which was last season. And that's all you need to be included in this training set, because we're just trying to predict a rookie season, and that's it. So these tabs right here, career attempts, career rushing yards, career rushing average, these are all college stats for over their entire college career, whether it's 3 years, 4 years, 5 years, or however many years they played in college football, what their averages were on a per game basis. So you go through all of these. These are the statistics that are being included in these predictions. Okay, here's all of them. Career attempts. So Derrick Henry in college averaged 15.4 carries a game. Career rushing yards per game. Career rushing average, just in terms of yards per attempt. Rushing touchdowns. Career receptions. Receiving yards. Average yards per reception. Receiving touchdown. Overall career touches. Overall scrimmage yards. Yards per touch. And then total touchdowns, whether it's rushing or receiving. And then this is just the first half of the data set for all of their college years averaged, freshman, sophomore, junior, and senior if they played a senior season. And then this is the last season for their college career. So this is whatever season they played right before entering the NFL. So whether it was their junior season or their senior season, these are the stats they had in just that season alone. And this mirrors what I do for the NFL machine learning projections, which use NFL stats. It looks at the player's career overall, and it looks at what they did in the season immediately prior. So this is the college football receiving table on the Sports Reference website for college football. They don't actually have a scrimmage table. They just have a receiving table and rushing table, even though there's a lot of overlap between the two. And some players are included on both pages. Here is the rushing table, for example. So I just have the program check for duplicates and only include each player once if they're in both the receiving and the rushing table. For example, the program goes through each one of these players who are going to be included in the testing data set. And this player, for example, Najee Harris, he has played 4 seasons, and his career averages are going to be the average of all 4 of these seasons, and his last season, which is going to be the senior season, is going to be this season right here. And those averages are going to go into the testing data as well. And then DeVonta Smith, he had a really good championship game. He's also a senior. Let me see. I'm looking for somebody who's a junior. This guy is not a junior, so he's not going to be included in the testing data set. Let's see. This guy's a senior. This guy's a senior. This guy's a junior. Okay, Javonte Williams. He has only got 3 seasons in college football, so if he were to declare for the NFL draft this year, he could be a rookie in 2021. So his career average throughout college are these 3 rows, and then his last season prior to 2021 rookie season would be his junior season in 2020. With that being said, let's go ahead and run the program that generates the testing data for the 2021 rookies. So it just goes and visits each player's page, takes down their career information, calculates the average, and eventually builds a CSV file with all of that information that we're going to compare against the training data set and make some projections for the next season. Alright, so I went ahead and put the actual 2021 projections into a Google Doc just to make them easier to see. So overall for 2021, the highest scoring rookie is expected to be Rachaad White, who comes in at about 160 points projected, which is about where Jonathan Taylor was last year. DeVonta Smith, who was a standout in the national championship game for sure, he's coming in at number 3 with 120 points. I don't really know too much about college football, so I'm not really familiar with most of these players. But I will be posting the full list in the description of the YouTube video, and I'll link to this Google Doc as well if you're interested in seeing some more of these rookies. Let me just scroll through this a little bit. So it's about the top 100 players. So while I'm sure a lot of these players will probably exceed their projections, there will be a number who score far less than they're projected to. And some of these players won't even declare for the draft. They might go back for another season. But these are all the players who are eligible to be rookies next season in the NFL. So in order to get an understanding of how accurate these predictions are going to be for the 2021 rookies, I went ahead and ran these programs in the context of the 2020 rookies. And these are retroactive projections, so I didn't make these calculations before the season, but these are what the calculations would have looked like if this was ran before the season. So Jonathan Taylor was predicted as the highest scoring player, and he scored fairly well, but he was beat out by Justin Jefferson, who was in the top 10 in terms of projected points. If I sort the actual performances, you'll get an idea of what their projections thought each player would be among rookies. Justin Jefferson was the top scoring, was ranked number 9. Jonathan Taylor, number 2, ranked number 1. Chase Claypool had a really good season. He was ranked number 32 by my projections. CeeDee Lamb, ranked number 5, came in number 4. Gibson, 15, came in at 5. T. Higgins, ranked at 3, came in at 6. DeAndre Swift, ranked 24, came in at, let's see, this is 7. Ayuk, 11, went to 8. Clyde Edwards-Helaire actually had a fairly low ranking. He was ranked number 28, which is not too far above Claypool, but he also had a lot of hype going into the season. He was pretty much a first-round pick in 2020 drafts. Shenault, Mooney, these are just some of the rookies, and there are some fairly close predictions in here. And overall, I was pretty surprised by the accuracy. I thought it would be further off. Taking a look at the results, so the average error was about 46 points PPR, which is pretty similar to what my NFL stats projections have as an average error, but the median was much, much larger. So about 50% of players were off by 90 points or more, and I figured that these are the players who had breakout seasons. And to be honest, these projections are kind of conservative. Even the highest projection was only 160, and Justin Jefferson, he more than doubled his projection. These are pretty conservative overall, because it's quite possible that first-year players, even if they have really good college stats, they tend not to score quite as many points as we'd expect for NFL vets. So rookie season overall, these are a little more conservative, and I know that my projections are already conservative in nature in the first place because they take injury into account. So looking at this is just a scatter plot of these 2020 projections. So on the x-axis, you have where each player was projected, how many points they were expected to score in 2020 in PPR. Here's, for example, Jonathan Taylor was projected at 161.12. And this line is just y equals x line, and this is showing you where each player was projected. So you see Jonathan Taylor had this margin between his actual performance versus his expected performance. He exceeded his projection. This dot right here, this is Justin Jefferson. He had probably the best season of any rookie. He broke the rookie receiving record in terms of yards. And you'll see one of the reasons the median is off is there's a large number of players who had really good seasons up in the 150, 200, 250 point range. But then there's a lot of guys down here who are part of the group that's kind of setting the trend, and why this has kind of a low slope in terms of rookies don't score that many points as a class, but some rookies, there are standouts. If you have any questions about the program or things you'd like to see next, let me know.